Good. Yes, we're Canopy. We've developed a really kick-ass product that we want to show off. Just give a good introduction, and Joel is actually going to run us through the demo here. So Canopy is a hardware and software company based out of Minneapolis, and I frequent San Francisco often. So just over here, a little space here. So what it is that we've developed is previous to the Sensus product, we had a case that essentially was a two buttons on top of an iPhone case. Okay, so it's a cool little camera, great. We had an SDK, shipped it around, talked to developers about it. They said, that's really cool. I could see how we could use it for a driving game, acceleration, brake, etc. What could be really cool is if we actually had a device or a product that can communicate to the iPhone directly, that could give us more inputs into the phone. So what can you do about that? So our CEO, Andrew, came in and actually said, well, that's great. Actually, I have a great idea. Let's build a product that's a slim form factor that communicates to the phone directly to the 33 connector. Canopy is licensed by Apple for the MFI program, which means it's made for iPhone, etc. And so we took capacitance sensors, just like the front of the iPhone, and actually inlaid them into a case on the right shoulder and the back. So, further ado, Joel Stewart is going to demo the product. We're just going to walk through some applications. We're going to keep this pretty lightweight. If anybody has questions like, what does this mean, or what does that do, or how do I what, and etc., just feel free. We'll have a little time at the end to take any other additional questions, but we're just going to walk through. So what you're going to see here is just actually me holding a camera to the piece of hardware down here. And please, you can come talk to anyone up here at the table. We actually have other prototypes you can touch and actually get a feel for the product. And just to let you know too, the product is coming out this summer, August, September, and we're working with Apple in the retail stores themselves, domestically, internationally, and online. So, here we go. All right, so.
Okay, so what this program is essentially a test harness for developers to come in and take a peek at what it would take to implement a typical control scheme into their game. So this is going to demonstrate a shooter control. We'll actually show you a game in a second here that takes advantage of this concept. And normally you're playing a shooter by dragging your finger across the front of the screen. You're covering up anywhere from 10 to 50% of it, maybe even more. And you're losing all that visual real estate based on your hand. So we just moved our controls to that. Pretty simple. Let's try to scale it up so I can move really fast. Let's just run 5. Really precise movement. This is all, again, multi-touch, and it's very similar to the technology very front of your iPhone, so it's very responsive. So let's move to the second control scheme. This is very typical. Who doesn't play a game like this, right? We have a left, right, and AD, and we're missing essentially the bottom quarter of my screen. Punch Quest or Super Crate Box, whatever. So now, all I've done is we moved it, I don't know, see my fingers on the top here. There you go. We just moved it to the front, so I'm swiping my finger left and right on the top here, as well as an A and B. Now I've just opened up my entire screen to play pretty much all of those platform games that we have on the market today. This would probably take about maybe 15 minutes to drop into a game. And the improved gameplay, I think, should be pretty obvious. Let's move to another very popular type of game, dual stick shooter. You see these a lot where you have your thumbs here on the front of the screen. This is eating up probably about 50% of your screen real estate. That's difficult to play. Dual stick shooters are some more popular types on the App Store. So now what we've done is we've just moved that to the back. We have this cool diamond pattern on the screen that actually is reflected on the back of the device. It's kind of like a visual cue as well as a sensory cue with your fingers as you're actually holding it. If you have big fingers, you can reposition the center point of these joysticks. So this is a very typical shoot over here, fire over here. We even have added triggers on top of the case. So you do firing, go to bananas, double monkey, a few games that came in this last week and just kind of said, hey, let's try to drop here game and see what happens. This is a great game called Spirit. It's done by Marco out of the UK. It's been in the App Store for I don't know, 4 years now. It was pretty early on. So you have this little spirit ghost that I just died with. You're dragging your finger around the screen, trying to circle in on these other enemies. Yeah. So now I'm just actually drawing the back. Now my movement is just as precise. I can see what I'm doing. It's a much better experience. And since all the movement is typically relative anyway, it's not an absolute positioning scheme, it's really easy. You can even do absolute positioning, but in this case it made more sense to call it. That's called Spirit. That's only about a half hour to put in. If you're familiar with bullet hell shooters, these are crazy games.
Normal.
Oh, sorry, we'll put it stream later.
We'll have a contest.
Yeah.
So whoever can get the farthest in the stream out, you win. A high five.
I high five, right? Usually you're controlling your ship here, and you're covering it up, and you have to avoid all these bullets. It's difficult to see, it's pretty contrast. If you come take a peek, it's a really pretty game. But it's difficult to move backwards in this game, especially when it gets complicated later in the level. You have to avoid these bullets, and it gets insane. It's very popular in Japan. So we literally just moved the control to the back. And now the ability to actually navigate down to the bottom of the screen is just, it's incredible. I was just demolishing some high scores last night. So, like that move right there would not be impossible, literally impossible. So, it opens up an incredible amount of gameplay we're super excited about. Here's one of those dual stick shooter concepts we threw this game demo together. I'm using my left hand to move. You can see the joystick there, my UFO's in the middle, and then I use my right finger to shoot. So you'll see a lot of games like this, first-person shooters, that use this technique. I will not lie, this takes a couple days to get used to, using your fingers instead of your thumbs, but I'm a believer now. So I've gotten about 700 points on this game, which is pretty awesome. So, the application, the use of Sensus is not limited to games. Obviously, we're at a game developer conference, so we're showing off games. But we'll go through a few different things here pretty easily. So we are approaching just app development at large. So the ability to just, I can just scroll my device from my right side. Sorry if you guys are watching this, like sideways.
So it's like the BlackBerry, right? So that all one way, had like a little jog wheel. Well, actually now we can reintroduce that into the application. So if you have a game or an app that has just a long feed, say like a website, email list, etc., you can take advantage of it just by scrolling up on the upper right.
If you didn't want to use the full back, you just want to do something much easier, just use the top edge. Usually when you have these camera applications, you're pressing this on-screen button, or you're holding it wrong or really weird where your camera's in the bottom right and you're using the iPhone buttons, which is really awkward. We've now actually put a button on the top right. You just take a picture by tapping where I'm supposed to tap, which is in the top right corner. You can add additional functionality to loss of focus, change your white balance, everything that you want to do with a point-and-shoot camera is very easily added simply by having all those buttons on the top edge. And I think we'll probably just call it there. I think that gives you a pretty good idea of where we're at with the technology. We'll open up some questions. I can see a few hands. So go for it. Come again? Patent pending. Android in about a year. Which model would you like to have? Oh, not going to happen.
Galaxy Note 2.
Pick two.
Galaxy Note and Samsung and
Okay. All right.
but tablet.
We iPhone 4S either right then or right after. iPod Touch 5th gen, and then all the rest of the iPad devices.
Chicken and egg issue, how do you solve
What chicken and egg issue?
the install base? The only reason we have a connected base is on your Xbox, and so there's an install base we want to support this one.
Sure. So, and that's one of the reasons we are here, is we're establishing partnerships and relationships with independent game developers, as well as some of the big AAA studios. So when it comes out, we will have those partnerships lined up, and thus the user base to work from. We will be launching Apple resale, we're expected, for exclusivity, international and domestic. So it's going to be a lot of eyeballs in the Apple Store are going to be picking up the product, and it's going to be another opportunity for independent game devs as well as AAA studios to remonetize existing user bases as well as bring in new users to their games.
When do you predict breaking the game threshold?
Well, you're asking really good questions. 2014. 2013, I don't know if I can share exact numbers, but 14 is when we break that. Any other questions? Yeah? We are exploring a lot of different opportunities for keyboarding with it. We have a lot of interest from the visually impaired market for accessibility, typing with Braille, as well as some other keyboarding ideas. That's a completely different play, and that type of thing won't necessarily be, the Braille stuff won't be accessible to the average consumer. But we are exploring relationships with some really cool keyboard technology out there, just helping them pretty good text input. There's some, yes, we're exploring it, it's going to be awesome. We're very excited. All right, if you guys would like that. Oh, wait, I didn't see it.
So you put have some similarity with PlayStation Vita. Got any outreach or information tools planned to help Vita developers make their apps work for developers?
That is an interesting question. So, let me repeat, make sure I got it right. Is there any support we're going to have for Vita developers who have developed games already for that back touch for the PS Vita to make the transition over to our platform? It's a good question. I have never been asked that before. So, ideally, yes, we would like to provide some sort of help, but it's very simple. I think any developer who's moving from Vita to iOS is probably looking at a pretty large rewrite to the code base anyway. But it's very simple. The code base looks pretty much identical to the native one they're already used to. It's very, very simple. Okay. Yeah, so there are some cards on the table that has just kind of little information about who we are in the case, as well as where you can go to sign up for the SDK. Even if you're not a developer, if you're an artist, or just a person who likes to play with tech, please take it and give it to your friend who's making the game, because I think we all know somebody who's making an iOS game. So give it to them, let them know about it, and how their game can be that much cooler stuff. So if you want to be hands-on with them, or see them up close in person as opposed to this horrible projection with the camera system we had going,